For about a decade, up until 2015, I got to perform in piano bars all over the world. From Vegas to Paris, from Manhattan to the Middle East, I got to entertain audiences of all shapes and sizes. Now, chiefly, my job consisted of making sure they had a great time and left in a better condition than I found them. And to me, sending a group of random strangers home with a smile felt a bit like I was doing everyone a public service. I remember one night in particular in 2015, I was about to start performing at a piano bar in Philadelphia. Now, that was a dueling piano bar, so there were two pianos on stage, and I had a partner. His name was Brian. So Brian had led off the night with our spiel. That's how we welcomed everyone into the piano bar and helped them learn the rules that would enable them to enjoy the experience to its fullest. Now, because Brian was leading off the night with the spiel, that meant that I had to lead the night off with a song. I always chose the same song to play. And so I walked to the piano, I sat down, placed my hands over the keys, and as I played the notes and opened my mouth to sing, nothing came out. This had never happened before, and it wasn't nerves. It wasn't illness. It was tragic. Because there I was on stage in front of a whole room full of people, and the one thing I was supposed to do, I couldn't. So I grabbed one of our request slips from the piano and wrote a note for the manager. I walked it over to him and showed him the note. It said, "My voice isn't working, and I don't know why. I've got to leave." He said, "Greg, don't worry. Figure out what's wrong with your health, then come back. There's always a spot for you here." 2 weeks later, I found myself sitting in front of a different audience, a room full of doctors and medical professionals. I had just spent the last 2 days being poked and prodded and examined by this team of vocal professionals, and the doctor who ran the practice was about to come in and give his diagnosis. He entered the room, and I could see everyone straighten up their posture a little bit. Now, this wasn't just any doctor. In the world of ENTs, ear, nose, and throat specialists, this guy was a bit of a celebrity. When the best in the world need vocal care, they went to him. His steely blue eyes met mine, and he said, "Mr. Offner, we've completed your exam, and I'm afraid your vocal cords are what we call partially paralyzed. So you have a series of cysts, nodules, and polyps covering your vocal folds. And to make matters worse, we've discovered that you have severe, undiagnosed reflux. All of that has put you in this position. And if you do nothing, within 2 weeks to 2 months, your cords will become permanently paralyzed." I said, what does that mean? He said, "It means you will never speak again." In that moment, every single piano bar I'd ever performed at flashed through my mind, except I couldn't see myself sitting behind the keys. I couldn't see myself as a performer. I was unwilling to accept this fate, and I said, "What needs to be done so that I can get back to the piano bar and perform?" He said, "Greg, I don't think you understand. We're not talking about your singing voice. I'm talking about your speaking voice. At this point, you need to consider your professional performing career as over. And our job now is to try to save your speaking voice." To put that in a bit of perspective, I'd like you to imagine that you wake up tomorrow, and as you start to roll out of bed, you crumble to the floor because your legs no longer work. Or if you're a chef or you like cooking, you go to make your favorite meal, and yet when you take the first forkful, you can't taste or smell a thing. I was terrified because my entire existence depended on my ability to use my voice to affect change in the world. This is something that was studied by Austrian psychologist Karl Gruss. It's called the joy at being the cause. Now, Karl didn't study piano players, he studied children at play. And he discovered that around the age of 18 months, children discover this joy at being the cause. I got to see it firsthand in our daughter, Francelle, when she turned 18 months old. My wife, Kim, and I were out on the front porch, and we were playing with her. She had sidewalk chalk, and she was drawing all over everything, even things that she really shouldn't have been drawing on. But that was okay, we were having fun. And at one point, she took a piece of chalk and put it on a table that we have out on our porch. Now, the table's a bit wobbly, and the chalk rolled off the table and onto the floor. Kim, my wife, bent over, picked it up, handed it to Frankie. I didn't notice this, but Francelle, we call her Frankie, had been watching the whole thing. And so she took the chalk, and that's right, she put it back on the table and watched it roll onto the floor and watched with a smile as Kim picked it up again and handed it to her. See, Frankie had discovered in that moment the joy at being the cause. She discovered that simply by doing something, she could affect change out in the world, something bigger than herself. So my question is, how are you using your voice, real or metaphorical, to affect change elsewhere in the world? See, at the Piano Bar, I could use my voice to bring audiences together, to take a room full of strangers and make them, just for a night, my unpaid choir. Yes, alcohol does help, a little. But really, it's the ability to do something together that is better than what we could do on our own that makes a performance at a piano bar so special. And it makes what you're able to do out in the world when you apply your voice, real or metaphorical, so special. See, after Dr. Sadilov's diagnosis, he gave me a choice: complete silence or undergo a risky vocal cord surgery. Now, I don't want to spoil the ending of this story for you, but after 15 surgical procedures over the better part of 6 years, I regained the ability to speak and even the ability to sing a little. During that transformation, I met a mentor who suggested I go into the world of public speaking to share my story. And I did that right before the pandemic started, which placed me in a very awkward situation because here I was ready to seize my moment to affect change in the world, and it seemed like the world was not ready for me. So into our homes we all went, and what I decided to do was start the world's first virtual piano bar. I invited friends and colleagues whom I had played with in piano bars all around the world to perform for audiences in my home at our piano bar. And I met someone along the way who invited me to start performing for children in children's hospitals. He worked for an organization that brought musicians and entertainers into the lives of children who were not doing very well from a health perspective. And this was incredibly fulfilling because even though I couldn't see the other people on the other side of the screen, I knew that I was helping someone by putting a smile on their face. I wasn't able to see anyone that was until several months ago when I did a performance for several hospitals, and one patient at one of the hospitals decided to turn their smartphone camera on, and sitting there in bed was this lovely young individual ready to participate. They raised their hand virtually, as we do in the chat room, to request a song. I said, "What song would you like to hear?" They said, "Well, there's a song that my mom and I sing all the time. It's from this movie and we really love it. Could you play it?" And they told me the name of the song, and I said, "Look, I'm not going to lie to you. I am not good at playing that song, and I really don't know how to do it well. But if you sing it with me, I think we can do it together. Would you be up for that?" They said yes. And we performed that song, and I saw a smile on this child's face, ear to ear, the likes of which I had never seen before. It filled my heart to finally be able to see the people that I was performing to finally believe I was making an impact, even if it was a small one, a smile on a child's face. See, I believe a lot of us in this room are waiting for a permission slip, waiting for a tragedy to happen before we realize how fleeting life is, how powerful our voice could be if we only put it into action. I'm here today to be your permission slip. Because much like the muscles of a weightlifter won't grow by merely thinking them into existence, your ability to create change in the world won't happen unless you manifest it, unless you make it a reality. A few weeks ago, I got a phone call from the individual who ran the charity that I performed for. He said, "Greg, do you remember when we did that performance a few months ago and that patient turned their camera on and did that song with you?" I said, "Yeah, that was amazing." He said, "They're not doing very well. And what I'd like you to do is record a special video for them. Would you be open to doing that?" I said, "Hell, I'll do a 30-minute concert for them. I'll do an hour. I will do whatever it takes to put a smile back on their face." He said, "All right, sit tight. I'm going to handle the logistics. I'll get back to you in a moment." 5-ish minutes later, I got a voice message from him, a voice text. It said, Greg, in the time that you spoke and I went back to organize the logistics, they passed away. And I just want you to know that the whole catalyst for me calling you and asking for you to do a performance was that patient's mother called and asked for the video of that initial song because it was the only time they'd seen a smile on their child's face since they'd entered the hospital. That moment hit me like a ton of bricks. That moment proved that even a small use of our voice can create a massive impact. So what I'd like to ask you to do today is to help me recreate that moment as we perform that song. You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it, all the darkness inside you can make you feel so small. Show me a smile then. Don't be unhappy. Can't remember when I last saw you smiling. The world makes you crazy, and you've taken all you can bear. Just call me up, 'cause you know I'll be there. I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let love show your true colors. True colors are beautiful. I've learned the power of my voice. Now it's time for you to go show the world the power of yours. Thank you.